Who is it?
It's Homeworthy.
Oh, for crying out loud. Hey, hi, Homeworthy. It's Marc Balet. Welcome to my New York City triplex.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. Like and subscribe for more.
My name is Marc Balet. Originally from Connecticut. I moved to New York 1975 after living in Rome and Europe for about 4 years. I won the Prix de Rome in architecture, and while I was there in Rome, I was lucky enough to meet my friend Fran Lebowitz, who came up to the Academy to visit me. She had been visiting in Rome, and when I came back to New York, I had no prospects of a job. I was a conceptual architect. I'd had a show at the Whitney when I was 22, but came to New York and didn't know what I was going to do. And then Fran, I started to kind of design her page at Interview Magazine. She had a page called I Cover the Waterfront. I started doing her little montages. I met Andy, and at some point the job came up as to be art director of Interview Magazine, and I went up to Andy and I said, well, could I be the art director of Interview? And he said yes, and I became the art director of Interview. And that started off a career far afield from architecture.
When you say Andy, who are you talking about?
Oh, sorry, I'm so used to saying Andy. It was Andy Warhol. Well, Interview Magazine, Andy owned Interview Magazine, and I'd never thought about being an art director. I wasn't really sure what it was. I'd never done it, but asking Mr. Warhol, he said yes, and that was it. I just had to make it up from there, so that's what I did. Working with Andy was great. He kind of left me alone once I started to do what I wanted to do. If I had a dream about something, I would come in and then make that dream come true in photography, photographing certain things on women and celebrities. He only had I think he really got angry with me once or twice, but once because I was shooting Norris Church, who was the wife of a famous writer, and I made the mistake of shooting up her nose. And Andy brought me in. I had run her picture double-page spread. I would love the photograph. It was a ship coming through her hair. I went out and painted a little cheap ship, put it in her hair, and I was so happy with the picture. And when I came in, he was angry because he said, never shoot up a woman's nose, and I never did again. The Loft itself is at Houston and Broadway. It's on the top floor. It's a penthouse. It's a triplex. And there's a space in the front for work. Then there's this huge space with about 15, 16 foot high ceilings. There's a fireplace. There's 4 bathrooms. There's a really fantastic 2 terraces off my bedroom. There's an outdoor shower, which I love, which I use from May till this year, almost November. And it's completely private. And when I go out there to take a shower, there are butterflies, there are bees, there are birds chirping around. It's very Heidi up there, where, during the right time of the year. And I've been lucky enough to live here for, almost 35 years. And at this point, I think it's time to move on, let somebody else enjoy this place. So the first thing that you see when you come in to the Loft is this space that was my office and is now my art studio. And you can see this front room, and then there's a huge rear room in the back. And then when you come with me, I hung all this stuff on the walls. I wanted this to be kind of a gallery. This first piece is by Dougie Fields, who's a British artist, a piece that was given to me. And then these photographs were all given to me by my friend Giorgio Riposi out of Milan. And this one, if you look close, this is an old picture of Sophia Loren when she first started to want to be a movie star. She had won a beauty contest or something. And these are all from the same photographer whose name I cannot remember. And they come all the way down They're all part of this series of photographs of this photographer who took pictures in the 60s and 70s and 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s in Europe. This is a picture of Gina Lollobrigida, who just recently passed away. It's a fantastic picture. This one is a picture. I was shooting a campaign. I was shooting the cover of Interview, actually, with Paul Rubens, who's a great friend. And Carol Channing showed up. I don't know how she showed up, but I guess she knew that Paul was there. And she came, I remember Carol Channing, I was standing with her and she had lipstick on her nose. And I said, Carol, I said, why do you walk around with lipstick on your nose? And she said, well, people look at you directly if you have lipstick on your nose. So it's something that everyone should be aware of if you're looking for attention. I mean, Paul Rubens is Pee Wee Herman. This is a picture of me quite stoned at Rhode Island School of Design in the sculpture department. The art people were very happy. The art teachers were very happy to know I was going into architecture and not fine art because I was doing such a horrible job with sculpture and painting. And then moving down along here, this is a piece of mine from the series called Knotted Homes. And it's a juxtaposition of words. A lot of my architecture deals with wordplay. And this was Homes Out of Rope. This is for Vail, Colorado. Not at home and feeling not at home. This one is Steve Martin, who came over one day to be photographed here as well for a magazine. I can't remember which one. And suddenly the photographer asked him to jump over on my roof and be photographed with New York City in the background. I completely freaked out, although I wanted the photograph. So I came down. At that point, I had my office manager call the insurance agency to put $1 million rider on my insurance right away. They did it, and I said, okay, go ahead and jump over, and he did. And we got this great photograph. And this is one of the last pictures of Andy, I believe, that was taken that someone gifted me because they knew I had worked for him for so many years. This piece here is by Andy. It's part of his Ladies and Gentlemen series. Here is a little niche I built for my grandmother's furniture, an old clock that she had, kind of a painting. And there's much more furniture that I don't have, but this is one piece of hers. So I wanted to remember her. Originally I was living on 22nd Street. I had 2 apartments that I was renting, one to live in and one to work in. I always like to live and work around the same place. And I saw this 3 little lines in the New York Times about a loft, and it just hit me. And I came to see this loft, and I couldn't afford it. So I went back to my apartments and waited some months. I saw the ad in the Times again. I came back down. I still couldn't afford it. I went home again, very despondent that I couldn't. This was the only place I wanted to live in New York, and I was determined to live here. And the last time I saw it in the Times, I came down again. There was a young couple here, living here. It was mostly a dance studio at that time. There was no second floor, really. The 3rd floor was a little room that was all dark. There was no outdoor decks. There was no outdoor garden. It was just the roof. But I had to have it. And I just said to them, look, this is all I have. You can have it tomorrow, but I want this place. And they said, okay. And that's it. I went back. I sold both my apartments that I was living in and spent about a half a year redoing this place so that I could live. I had my office in the front and my living space, the rest of the triplex was here, and I completely redid it to my specifications, to what I wanted, to make it my dream house. This piece here I had from another office and I brought it here. It's a French butcher's table from Paris, and I actually have, you'll see around the loft, some French children's chairs from school chairs, which I love. So this is a table, a 60s table, I believe, that Fran Lebowitz gave to me that I love. It's an original piece. And over here, we have a picture of Andy and Drina De Niro, Robert De Niro's daughter, who I met that day, and I'm still friends with Drina all these years later. This was done obviously in the mid-'80s, I guess, '84 or something like that. We were photographing her mother, Diane Abbott, who was so beautiful and wonderful. This is a drawing that was done by this artist, Fran Heaney, who I'm with there when we were kids traveling across North Africa. This was in Marrakesh from a photograph someone took of us, and she did that drawing, which I love so much. This is kind of some of Andy's stuff. Every year, or a couple of times a year, Andy gifted me and other people at the factory stuff. And I guess it was cheaper for him to actually just give us a painting or a print than going out and buying something for us. So he gave me that Mao, which is so beautiful, and there's a $ painting that's there that he gave me, I think, for my birthday or something. That's a David LaChapelle picture that he gave me a long, long time ago that I love. I love my stuff so much. I love all the, you know, when people would come over, as I said before, there was a wall of thousands and thousands of photographs. And I had, someone once gave me a pair of little opera glasses so that when people came over, they could see themselves. Often people would say, well, where am I? I don't see myself on your wall. And I'd have to make sure I knew where everyone was so I could give them the opera glasses and so they could see themselves on the wall. The windows here were originally, when I came in, they were blocked off. You didn't see the arch. The people here before me had covered them over. So that's one of the first thing I did was to have the glass glazed to that arch and to take the, whatever the hell they put up there to keep it covered. And then I had the drapes were done by Fran Leibowitz's father, who had a drapery business. And I remember when Brooke Shields was one of the first people to come here to see my house when I first got it done. And Brooke came in and she said, did those drapes? And I said, oh, it's Fran's father did those drapes. And she said, oh my God, he must have been so tall. So that was little Brooke, who I adore. I've gotten a few amazing gifts from the actor Paul Rubens, better known as Pee Wee Herman. And this is one of them. It's a lava lamp that I adore. He's given me a few more that I don't have on at the time. These two bowls I got in northern Sicily, and I bought this one and had it shipped here, and when it came here, it was in 100 pieces. And I was so upset, I took a Polaroid of it, that's how long ago it was, I took a Polaroid of it and sent it to the store and called them saying, I'm sending you a Polaroid, you broke my beautiful bowl. And so they sent me another one, beautifully wrapped. But the housekeeper, my housekeeper at the time, unbeknownst to me, took it home and glued it all together. So I now have two of them, which I love, these little duck bowls. Well, I'm kind of writing about it now. I'm writing a bunch of stories about my life in the fashion world in the 80s, the incredible drugs and insanity that went on with fashion shoots. At the same time that I was art director of Interview magazine, Andy was pretty cheap. And so I had to go out and get a job, a secondary job. And I became the art director of something called Vogue Patterns magazine. And I would do Vogue Patterns during the day and then interview at lunchtime and at night. And it was, Andy's the one who suggested this. I quit interview after I got the job at Vogue Patterns. Andy was with the Shah of Iran and called me from Iran the night I quit and said, no, you have to stay. We'll work around you. You'll continue to be the art director. Just don't tell your new employers that you're keeping your old job. And that's what I did for 3 years until I left Vogue Patterns and started my own business, my own ad agency. But it was a very, very crazy world. I mean, everything was new at that time. The idea of being a supermodel was kind of brand new. I didn't know what to make of it suddenly, but it was just an incredible time. It was all about Studio 54, going out all night and then working all day. At one point, I used to ride my bike up to Studio 54 and then leave my bike in the office and then dance and then get my bike and bring it back down and then bike home at night. Oh, not at night, it was 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. Well, there's a few things that I remember about Andy and me. Once when we were photographing a bunch of male models, we were in a hotel room And Andy never came to any photo shoot that I can remember. So I think he did Diana Ross once. He came to a Diana Ross shoot. But I came into the hotel room late, and I walk in, and there were all these male models laying around, and Andy is laying in the bed with them. And I looked at him, and I like, what are you doing here? And he looked at me, and just to be mean, I started to work out at that point, and I was getting bigger. And Andy looked up at me and said, "Oh, Marc," he said, "you used to be so good looking." He said, "Now you look like you're wearing a coat all the time." So, of course, I was the butt of the joke. Everyone burst out laughing, and Andy made sure that the center was on him, and then I just went into the other room. You can't get angry with your boss like that. First of all, this table, I wanted a dining room table and also a table to work on. And so I sketched out this table idea. And then these wonderful same Irish guys went up to the Bronx, got the wood, and then up on the roof, we carved it out and put it together and made this wonderful table. So I designed it for this space. There are some of the chairs from the French school. This whole wall is corkboard, and it was originally filled to the brim with photographs, Xeroxes, Polaroids, lots of stuff from various friends over a period of 50 years, 40 years. And I'll show you that. And I had to take it down because I'm selling this place, and the real estate people didn't want to have too much of my personality in here. So they wanted that down, and I took it down. But we'll look at some of the photographs. I guess I put my first picture on the wall, I guess probably in the early 90s. And then I started to put more pictures on the wall, and then I said, well, maybe I should take the whole wall, make the whole wall a corkboard, and then I don't have to put it into the actual wall, which I did. And it was a wonderful piece, and everyone loved it, and everyone looked for themselves on it. And it was really great. Wherever I move next, I'm going to do another wall. So you'll have to come there. So this is this is a cover of Interview that I did with Albert Watson, the photographer Albert Watson. Aretha had agoraphobia. She wouldn't come out of her house, so we had to go to Detroit to photograph her. And I had the most amazing time with her because I brought a pink Cadillac with me, a little sculpture of a pink Cadillac. And that song came out at the time. And we turned on the music in her living room, and she burst out of the kitchen. She was in there eating fried chicken and soda and stuff, and I was laying on the living room floor, and I jumped up, and she came through, and the two of us started dancing to her music. I wish I had a photograph of it, but I don't. She was amazing. I loved her, and I loved being there. This is Paul Rubens from the 80s sometime. Andy wanted to do a hip issue, and there was no one more hip than Paul Rubens at the time. So we went out to LA and photographed him in Los Angeles. And this is when I was talking about before about dreaming. I had a dream about a woman walking down a staircase. And so we were doing this actress at the time, and so we just connected this. I had this jeweler do this amazing earring, and then there she is walking down the staircase. And that's what was so amazing about Interview in those days, is I could dream something, get up, and then find out who we had to photograph, and then have her, it was photographed by Bob Kiss, and the jewelry was Robert Lee Morris, who I called and I said, I have this idea of a woman walking down the staircase, could you make me an earring? And he did. That was the joy of Interview in those days. This is HG. Wendy Goodman, who's an editor at New York Magazine now, did my house back in the day when I had a ping pong table here because I was a ping pong fanatic. And it's just, a lot of stuff is still exactly here. On the second floor in my bedroom, before the building was built next door, I had windows that looked out onto Houston. It's a painting of that a guy named Willie did it in, it was in a hotel that he and his partner owned in Miami, a fantastic hotel. And I said, if you ever sell the hotel, I want that painting. And it's of the leftovers from a James Bond picture where they blow up the boat in the water, but they never really use a real boat. That's a cement boat that they build, and then they blow up the cement boat. And that's the, Willie Moser is his name, is the artist. And I wanted that painting, I love it. And then photography, I have, that's a David LaChapelle picture there, that La Dolce Vita, and that's Arthur Elgort down there. And that is David Seidner up there. This is an Andy who gave me that just before he died. And it's one of my favorites.
Which one is it?
The Double Fish is an Andy print, and he gave it to me. And then I think I was going out to shoot this movie in Hawaii called North Shore. And he died while I was on set making that movie. So this is the box of pictures that as I had someone take all the photographs off, it took quite a long time. I kept them in a box for the next place I moved to that I can put them up again. I love to have my friends living and not living around me. This is me when I first moved in on the second floor with my big television in probably 1989 or 90. This is a photograph of me and my friend Bruce Weber, who I adore, who's right now in Miami. I hope to go down and visit him. This is down in Miami at his house, one of his houses. This one is for a cover of Susan Sarandon that we did, behind the scenes picture that Jean Pagliuso took of me, making sure that that dress looked fantastic for Susan. You know, no, I don't miss the old days. I'm happy I was here and I was able to be a part of it. But missing it, I mean, things just move on, you know, and you have to catch the next wave or at least be part of it and not be too nostalgic. I think right now, a lot of young kids are too nostalgic. They look back too much as opposed to creating the next new thing. And there's lots of great stuff out there. I see it all the time. And I have people coming over to my house here. I have people over for coffee several times a week, all different ages, from all different backgrounds. And I just listen to them and learn their ideas, and then they like to hear about the old days also. Do I cook? I'm going to tell you a very quick story. Is that I was, my friend Debbie Mazar, who's an actress, was staying all the way uptown somewhere. And she didn't want to be alone. And I said, well, come down to my place, stay in my room. I said, I'm making chicken. I said, you're going to love my baked chicken. She said, all right, I'll come down. So she came down, she went upstairs, she put her things down. She goes, wow, that chicken smells fantastic. I said, thank you. And she lit a cigarette and she came downstairs and she goes to the oven. She had a cooking show at one point, and she came down to look at what I was doing with the chicken, and she opened up the oven and there's nothing there. She said, where's the chicken? I said, what do you mean, where's the chicken? She said, well, there's nothing in the oven. I said, it's in the toaster oven. I never used my oven. I don't know how to use the oven. And she said, oh my God. She said, let me teach you how to use your oven. And that's how I learned how to turn my oven on, is with Debbie Mazar. Cooking is with a very small C on cooking. I wouldn't put a cap C on that, but I try to get by. All right, so let's go upstairs and I'll show you the rest of the place. It's a triplex, so get your hiking shoes on. Well, this is the den that I kind of rarely use, actually. These are beanbag chairs that I got like 30 years ago. They're original beanbag chairs, not the fake beanbag chairs that you can get now from the 60s. And then this is a table, a designer table from the 50s, whose name I can't remember right now. And then you could look down into the office. And then there's a little bathroom there. And let's go upstairs. There's an extra little bedroom here, but let's go upstairs to the third floor, which is a little house on the roof that was here, but not very well utilized. And now we're on top of the building, and This is my bedroom. That was all built, basically. And that lamp, that kind of chandelier, I'm not sure what you call it, was done by Andrew Logan in London and then shipped here. And I asked him to do it in the shape of a cloud, but I have a feeling it seems more like a submarine or something. But it's been there for about 30 years. I always have the same bed. Wherever I move to, I always have it constructed with the angle of the headboard like that. And I just love to sleep low, and I always think it makes the room look bigger and you have an unobstructed view of the room, basically. It is a little bit, it's a mix of a treehouse and then something out of Malibu or something. It has a little bit of a California look to it, I think. And I just love it. It's before it was so cluttered downstairs. When you came up here, it was like you could relax up here. And I do relax up here. People have fallen down these stairs. People, I have to say, these stairs will have to be redone by the next person. But usually they're very drunk or stoned and they don't feel it. So I've had so many people here and I hear it tumbling down, but then no one's been hurt enough. So I figured, I guess the carpeting kind of softens the blow. I guess it's just part of the experience of coming over. This is where we have a lot of dinners. It's semi-sheltered, especially during the summer. All the plantings were done. This was just roof, raw roof when I moved in. I had this all redone and then built all this out here. I hope you see some pictures of this place in the summer. I'm going to show them to you because it's phenomenal out here. And I have my shower, which is turned off right now, but which I use from, April or May until November, depending on global warming. No bathing suit, totally naked. Not a sight everyone wants to see, but yeah, I love it out here. It's totally private. And not only that, most of the people around here, I'm the only person who lives up here. Everything else is businesses. So at 5 o'clock on the weekends, it's all closed. And now it's mostly closed. After the pandemic, everything kind of shut down. So I was up here, it was kind of a desert up here. And also it's not my own water tower, it's for the building, but it's such a beautiful thing and it's such a New York part of the landscape thing. I had to have it redone once. We had to take the water tower down and then put it up again, the wooden part. And it was fascinating to watch, actually. Come on out here. Sliding door. And then we're out here. This is over Broadway. And you could lay in the sun right now. It's so fantastic up here. And I had this all built. This is all brand new. I just had it built last summer. I took out the old wood and put in this new fake wood. And all the plantings are here. I have a wonderful guy who comes in to do the plantings, and things are budding, which I'm so happy about. A little too early. And in the summer, all of this fills in with different plants and fragrant flowers, which is fantastic. And I have a lot of dinners up here, and people come up to visit me here. I have a barbecue, which I've been barbecuing for years out here, and it has a great view. If you want to take a look, the view down. This is a view that it's high, but it's not too high. It's not so high that people are ants, but it's not so low that you hear every bit of noise going on. Home is I'd like to say it's a sense of security, but I did a piece, about, which you could see, called Knotted Homes, where the homes are made out of rope, but it's really about not feeling at home and feeling not at home. And so I think this place has offered me the most security in my life, is having a place like this. And having my dream house. My architectural work at the Whitney, the show was called Dream Housing. So dream housing to me is everything. When you dress in the morning, you're putting on your dream house. You're showing the world where you live, basically. And so this was the physical extension of my dream house.
Thanks for watching. For more Homeworthy content, be sure to like and subscribe.